Welcome on the show, Plus Sports and Plus TV Africa. Like you know, I'm not a fan of Mondays. It's just not my thing. My name is Wally Scott. Welcome on the show. Now, too many things to discuss. Lots of good news. Lots of things happened over this weekend. This weekend was actually packed full with sporting events, really. Now, the Super Falcons have landed in Abidjan. They landed yesterday ahead of their 2022 Women's African Cup of Nations second leg qualifier against Cote d'Ivoire. The second leg fixture is scheduled for the Stade Robert Chaperon in Abidjan. The Nigeria Football Federation, through its media team, confirmed the arrival of the Falcons in Abidjan. Now, it's obvious that the ladies are doing very well. They won their first match 2-0. Ironically, that team was without Oshuala, Assisat. And now she's going to be in this one, in the second leg in Abidjan, which gives them, of course, a plus.
Yes.
Assisat gets one chance at goal, she scores two. You know, so our chances against Cote d'Ivoire, who are an improving team in the African female consistently, you know.
Yes.
But we took them out in Nigeria. However, Abidjan will be a different ball game.
It's exciting to rekindle this feeling we used to have with the Super Eagles back in the 90s, where we were the dominant force in males football on the continent. Now with female football, we are the dominant figures on the continent again, and it promises that if Oshuala is playing the next game, which is happening on Wednesday, we're going to do much better, possibly. Hopefully, they won't take their foot off the gas, which is a tendency for all of our athletes, no matter what sports we play in this country. But with Oshuala on the field, I think it will raise spirits, it will raise motivation. And the fact that she hasn't played the last match, this will be an opportunity to do well, to make an impact on the match. And that will translate into the rest of her teammates showing off.
So, but after this, what next? You see, our ladies tend to do well on the continent. We will always do well. And what we did to our team is we did it like the Super Eagles. We actually went abroad, went to look for players, just like we did with the basketball teams too. Went abroad, went to look for players who actually played under good structures, brought them to Nigeria, and they're doing very well. But after this, what next? How can we get better after the continent? We've taken out the continent already. It's ours. On the international scene, when we get there, we don't do that well.
My hope is that going forward, we don't make the same mistakes as we've made in the past with our Super Eagles. Because the Super Eagles, for me, are like the first child. You make a lot of mistakes with your firstborn, but you try to correct those mistakes with your subsequent children. And the Super Falcons have an opportunity to benefit from the wealth of knowledge and experience that we've had with the Super Eagles. The mistakes that we've made with the Super Eagles must be lessons we use to correct how we go forward. My opinion is that the likes of Oshuala should not be thrown away. We should not have situations going forward where we're talking about former footballers who plied their trade for our national team, for the women's national team, being irrelevant. Their time in the national team forgotten, and them having no voice, no particular impact on the rest of the development of our female football going forward. These are the future coaches, and we must invest in them now. They are the future physios. We must invest in them now. They are the future administrators, and we must keep them close. Remind them that what they are best at, which is football, is something that this country continuously needs to benefit from. Just because they hang up their boots does not mean that they are retired from football. Their legacies will and should go beyond just the impact they made as footballers. It should go further as administrators in developing the game for the future. Because in the future, we should absolutely be having girls who are moving from secondary school into academies and who don't need to run all the way to Europe to learn the basics of the game in order to be recruited back to come here and play for us. We should catch up very quickly, and we must not make the same mistakes that we've made with the Super Eagles.
Okay, what are our chances against the Black Queens of Ghana?
I mean,
Your prediction?
My prediction, I think the game will be a tough one. I think it will end 2-1 to Nigeria.
Okay. Robert Lewandowski scored twice as Bayern Munich overcame the shock of falling behind to the Bundesliga's bottom club Greuther Fürth and went on to win 4-1 to stay in charge in the German title race on Sunday. A deflected free kick from Branimir Hergotha 3 minutes before halftime gave Fürth the lead, silencing the Allianz Arena. Lewandowski headed in Bayern's third in the 82nd minute, the Polish striker's 28th goal in the league this season in 23 appearances. Choupo-Moting added the final goal in added time, knocking in a cross from Sergei Gnabry's from close range. The victory took leaders Bayern on to 55 points from 23 games, leaving Fürth propping up the table on 13 points. Away from Bayern, the biggest thing that happened yesterday, obviously, was the closing ceremony of the Winter Games.
I mean, it's one thing you look forward to. You look forward to the opening ceremony. You look forward to the closing ceremony. It's where the culture, the gravitas of the tournament, the culture of the host nation is really on display.
And it's Beijing. They're always working on one technology or the other.
Yes, I mean the lights, I mean it's a wonder to behold when people, a group of people, a nation of people can collectively, and I think China does it very well, probably better than others, bring in a collective focus, a collective commitment to demonstrating such events. It's always spectacular.
Okay, well, now Beijing doused its Olympic flame on Sunday night, closing the games that will be remembered for the extremes of its anti-COVID-19 measures and outrage over the doping scandal that enveloped 15-year-old Russian skating sensation Kamila Valieva. Let's take this and we'll come back. Stay with us. Now they're asking if minors should be allowed to compete at the Olympics. She's only 15. Obviously, all of this drama took a hold on her in her last event.
Yes. I don't know if the question needs to be raised about whether minors should be allowed to participate. Certainly a certain age, there should be an age cutoff for how old you can compete. At 15, it doesn't seem out of the norm for me because we've had many 15-year-olds compete in different sporting events at the Olympics now. I think at the end of the day, it's all about how these athletes are managed. The fact is there's so much burden, so much pressure on them. They're not just going there for themselves or their families, they're going there for their nation, which means they are surrounded by an entourage of state officials who are, and in countries, from countries like Russia, China, authoritarian countries from the Middle East, you know, these entourage are oftentimes state officials, unlike the Americans or like the other Britain. The entourage can oftentimes be picked by the athletes themselves. The fact that these athletes are so young, there needs to be a different kind of management skill and different kind of man management skill that goes into who is selected, the choices of people who make up their entourage, to keep them not only focused but appreciating the honor and privilege that it means to be at the Olympics. They should have almost as much fun, if not more fun, than just about being at the Olympics, than just the pressure of competing at the Olympics.
Okay, now this has been a controversy for a long while. We'll hear it first and then we'll talk about it. Now, heading footballs and other accidental head impacts that occur while playing football change blood patterns in the brain, according to a new study in the journal Brain Injury. Something that we continually, in a case of a study with a doctor who works on Paul Gascoigne, he said it wasn't about the alcohol alone, it was about the brain patterns in his head, heading the ball regularly. We know about Muhammad Ali, Parkinson's disease. They said it was about head injury. And now they are saying that, are we going to a level where they're going to say, don't head the ball anymore?
It looks like it. Obviously, growing up, in a few years, I'm going to be such an old head that the question of whether they should ban this will seem preposterous to me. But at the same time, we want to keep these athletes safe. Perhaps we might be at an era where all athletes, all footballers, have to wear headgears, whether they have injuries or not. Remember, for years, Peter Cech wore that headgear after his collision with the posts. Unfortunately, if this were to happen, if they were to ban headers in matches, a lot of balls will go errant.
No doubt. Yeah.
And we are already in an era of football where the ball is kept on the ground more than it used to be. But keepers still have to send the ball over teams, over defenders, over midfielders to get it to the striker, the target man. But it might mean that the kind of players we have going forward, the dependence on headers, will change.
Well, Obi Toppin's triumph in the slam dunk contest on the NBA All-Star Weekend in Cleveland. It was the first held in the city since the legendary Kobe Bryant claimed dunking rights during the 1997 All-Star Weekend. Toppin, a forward with the New York Knicks, topped off some elaborate moves with a one-handed slam to score 47 on his final dunk. He beat John Toscano Anderson in the final, with the Golden State Warriors man failing to convert his final dunk following 3 attempts. All over social media last night, up until this morning, till about 2-3 a.m. this morning, I was still awake, and everybody said this was the most boring slam dunk competition ever.
Yes. Nothing about it seemed new. No, there were no Superman dunks. There was
no new move.
Yes, and I think the fact is all the greats in dunking have left the building, and the sport is so much more technical now that the highlight of their different events, the highlight event is the three-point shootout. It's always been a highlight event, but now it's the only one where you can find any, because the consistency of being able to drop so many three-point shots is the best thing about the competition right now. But it was the All-Star Weekend. It's always fun.
But it's not fair. I don't think we're being fair to these guys because you can't create a new move. All the moves that Michael Jordan has done, all the moves, Kobe Bryant has done all the moves. These guys have to create new moves. That's not easy.
But remember, once upon a time, people used to dunk over cars.
Yes.
They used to wear the Superman cape and it didn't matter that someone else had done it before. Someone else would do it again. And the level of creativity, a tweak here, jumping earlier than the previous guy did, it all mattered. A lot of these dunkers this time around just felt like they didn't have or didn't know what else they could bring to it. And the creativity, there's no end to creativity.
Sure.
That's the truth. And different perspective means different versions of creativity. And these ones just didn't seem to bring it this time around.
Now, Andrei Rublev defeated Felix Auger Aliassime to win the Open 13 Province ATP 250 event. The Russian world number 7 beat the Canadian world number 9 7-5, 7-6, 4 in Marseille to lift his 9th ATP Tour trophy, his first since Rotterdam in March 2021. Last week, Auger Aliassime defeated Rublev in the semi-finals in Rotterdam. Rublev also won the doubles finals with Denis Mochinov against Raven Clausen and Ben McLachlan, becoming the third man in history to win both titles. Congratulations, Rublev. Now I'm going to leave you with Carlos Alcaraz. He has become the youngest ATP 500 winner ever on Sunday, February 30th, as he stormed to victory in the Rio Open final against Diego Schwartzman. I'll leave you with that. Later on the show. Thank you very much, Mukail. I like to always mention the names of people who worked behind the scene. It's just my thing, really. Tayo have the cameras. You don't see them, but they work very hard to make sure these programs work for us. Now, Ego, Cynthia, and Steve-O, made it happen for me. Our Oga, Onoja, yes, he always does it. And he has our back all the time. Shayo, Ruby, Paul, has a past production on the program, of course, always. David Bellema, and of course, Emeka. Downstairs, the powerhouse, the man who makes this happen, D1 Dio. Thank you very much, everybody. Well done, sirs. Thank you all very much. My name is Wally Scott. Join us same time tomorrow, same program, Plus Sports and Plus TV Africa. Like I advise you at the end of every show, if not for anything, at least for your heart, do some sports.